Hey guys, it's Emma and Christian here. We've been playing Micro Machines World Series since its release just over a week ago, and have noticed that it's received a less than welcoming reception from fans. So, rather than write a review, we thought we'd take a look at where Codemasters went wrong in their newest instalment to a very old and much loved franchise. When we put up our preview of Micro Machines World Series back in May, the initial response to the video was rather negative, as we highlighted a number of flaws with the game. Despite only playing the game for an hour at a preview event, we could already tell that there were some major problems that would not be fixed in time for the game's launch. Now that the game has been out for just over a week, we've had the chance to take a look at it in depth. In short, we told you so.
Actually, that's not strictly true. A few times in the preview we said World Series is a good game with some problems. After playing it for hours, there is no way this game should be called good. How is it possible that Codemasters have managed to make a game worse than almost every other entry in the series so far? Put World Series next to any of the previous Micro Machines games and you'll notice a fundamental difference. It's uncharacteristically slow. In order to cater towards their target audience, which is children, Codemasters decided it would be a great idea to significantly slow the game down, though they also thought it was a smart idea to add loot boxes, so that tells you something about their direction. Classic Micro Machines depended on skill and familiarity to make it competitive. However, in World Series there's very little that separates the players, which is exactly why items and different vehicle stats have been added. Neither of these additions enrich players' experiences, and if anything, serve as a half-hearted distraction from the game's weak foundations.
Adding unique vehicle stats may not have been such a bad idea had Codemasters made each vehicle a viable option. Instead, there are a number of vehicles that can be written off straight away due to their substandard stats. Ultimately, this gives players an empty illusion of choice when it comes to picking a vehicle. Couple this with the questionable mechanics such as the Poster Equalizer, and it's not hard to spot why this game has failed to live up to its legacy. The toaster and pool table pocket attempt to level the playing field by creating a small divide between the players, splitting them into subgroups that will likely compete with each other for the duration of the game. Players in 1st to 4th positions will probably remain in that bracket, while players that find themselves in 5th or below will struggle to climb higher. Unlike the items in a game like Mario Kart, there's essentially no comeback mechanics for those that fall behind near the beginning of the race.
Moving on, Micro Machines V3 and V4 changed the way the camera panned throughout track in order to give players a better view. World Series largely follows the style of Micro Machines 1 and 2, where the camera rarely moves, limiting your vision, forcing you to learn the track. The classic elimination mode has been ruined with the inclusion of the new camera mechanic. Over time, the camera will zoom in on the remaining players, forcing the race to end quicker as it pushes players out of the screen. Adding this feature just seems like a lazy counter to the game now being so slow. We can't understand why Codemasters made the decision to go back on the progress they made decades ago, though that can be said for almost every point in this video. A controversial decision Codemasters made in this reboot of Micro Machines is the inclusion of weapons. World Series does not allow you to turn off items when playing online, restricting that option to local play only. Would the removal of weapons make World Series a better game? The answer is, unsurprisingly, no. At its core, the game is incredibly boring thanks to the slow pace of the driving. Disabling the weapons in local multiplayer turns the game into Scalextrics with collision.
There are 3 items: the hammer, bomb and gun. The hammer is undeniably overpowered as it can kill most vehicles in one hit. You're able to maintain your first place position as long as you can stop anyone from overtaking you. Oh, and this item can be used 3 times, so if you miss someone, you can always swing the hammer again. The most annoying item is the bomb, due to its inconsistency. On some occasions, this item will take out vehicles instantly, but most of the time it just ends up pushing other vehicles away. This is incredibly annoying for both the person using the bomb and the person being hit by the bomb. There are times where throwing the bomb will put you at a disadvantage as it propels the opponent forward. Lastly, you've got the gun. The gun is arguably the only fair item in the game, as it requires the user to be within a close distance before it will lock on. This weapon won't kill enemies in one shot, instead it stuns them with each bullet, eventually eliminating them after using about half a clip.
The items are completely random, meaning you're likely to get a hammer in first place as you are to get a bomb. This is the main reason why winning a race doesn't feel satisfying. Most of the time you end up feeling as though you got lucky. Once you get into first place, it's very difficult to fall behind as only one of the 3 items can hit you from a distance. Unlike Mario Kart, a series that has found the right balance between skill and luck, World Series disregards skill and hopes you won't notice.
It's clear that Codemasters' focus in World Series was on the battle modes. These modes allow you to play with up to 12 people in Capture the Flag, Bomb Delivery and King of the Hill. Again, like the racing, none of these battle modes are fun. The developers have overcomplicated things by giving each vehicle its own unique weapons and abilities on top of their individual stats. Not only are these abilities underwhelming, but they just tend to make the arena a chaotic mess. As a result, the battle mode games feel drawn out and boring as players, or more accurately, bots, tend to speed around focusing on eliminating other players rather than achieving the objective. Battle modes aren't something that we felt were lacking from the previous Micro Machines games, yet in our interview the Codemasters team assured us this is what players want. However, after testing out the game on PC and PS4, it appears that Codemasters may have misread what fans expect from the Micro Machines franchise. Every battle mode game that we've played has consisted of less than a handful of real players, topped up with loads of bots. Pair this with the lengthy queue times and there's no surprise why people aren't playing this game.
Going back to the PS4 port, we were disappointed to find that it runs at 30 FPS, even on the PS4 Pro. Fans may feel somewhat misled, as all the gameplay that featured on the World Series trailers was captured on PC. The PS4 version looks awful in comparison, and we can imagine that the Xbox One version is equally as bad, if not worse. This is very strange considering how basic the game looks. Sadly, the PS4 version doesn't even have the player base to compensate. It is equally lackluster on the consoles as it is on Steam.
Unsurprisingly, the few players that are still playing World Series are sticking with the race and elimination modes. Who would have thought that the fans of the series would just want to play more of the modes they love? As we mentioned earlier, these modes have been neglected in comparison to the battle modes. You only find 10 tracks in race and elimination mode which cycle randomly. Even local elimination has taken a few hits that render it inferior to its predecessors. If you're hoping to play classic style Micro Machines with your friends, then you'll probably be disappointed. Similarly to race and elimination, local play feels incredibly slow, and this is amplified when playing with a small group of competent players. World Series doesn't allow you to play privately with your friends online, so you'll either have to queue in a party, where you'll be joined by bots, or just play locally. The intervals between races are also painfully slow, extinguishing any desire for people to play just one more game, a sensation that old Micro Machines games fostered well.
Micro Machines World Series is a bad mobile phone game on your PC and consoles. Aside from the visuals, Codemasters has taken a step backwards in almost every respect. It's not even worth our time talking about the features that the game lacks. More levels, local 8-player support, and more single-player content, to name a few. World Series feels more like a knockoff of the original Micro Machines game rather than a worthy sequel to this much-loved franchise. Trust us on this one, it is bad and you should stay away from it at all costs. Even if the game was free on PSN Plus, it wouldn't be worth playing. Go buy Rocket League or something, or better yet, go play Micro Machines 2 on the Mega Drive. That was a much better game.
As always, we'd like to thank you for checking out our video. We hope this gave you a slightly better insight into Micro Machines World Series, as well as the franchise as a whole. You know the drill by now. If the video was good, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this one, and don't forget to talk to us in the comment section below. We actually do like talking to you. Thank you for your support, and we'll catch you on our next video or stream.